G'day, I'm Andy and I'm the first to lap Australia on a Himalayan Scram. Mate, I'm pretty much a newcomer to motorbikes. I've been riding probably 6 or 7 years. I used to ride as a kid, of course, on ag bikes and paddock bashes and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to get myself a little commuter bike for riding around Sydney. Had a little Sol Invictus Mercury with 250, which was a great little bike. But I very soon realised I wanted something a little bit bigger, so I got myself a Benelli Leoncino 500, which was a top bike for that transition. And then about just over 12 months ago, I got on this thing. In 2022, I spent the year in India doing, really had no plans, just arrived in Delhi and wanted to just go and explore, but getting around is not difficult, but you can either catch the train, which is fun, or hire a motorbike, which is even more fun. So my very first day in India, I flew up to Ladakh, into Srinagar, and I had Royal Enfield's Classic 350s every time. Loved the bike, and probably did about 10,000 k's around India, mostly in the northwest corner, up from Ladakh down to Rajasthan and Gujarat. So bloody fantastic. Followed the Pakistani border and the Chinese border down, right down to the Arabian Sea, and fantastic. Loved it. Well, I thought I had done it in India, and I thought, but I haven't really seen a lot of Australia, like so many of us. So I went back into where I bought the Benelli from Moto Machine in Sydney, and asked them if they might be able to do something that, like, put some panniers on the Benelli or something. And David in there said, look, we could do it for you, but I reckon, I told him my story about the Royal Enfields in India, and he said, well, as it happens, I'm a Royal Enfield dealer now. So we got chatting, and I ended up deciding this was far better bike, really the perfect bike for a trip like the one I did. So I ended up on the Himalayan Scram, which I love. I did even think about a Classic 350, but I thought, it's in India, the roads, you can, 80 k's, you very rarely get above 80 k's, whereas here I was doing the traditional lap of Australia, so there was going to be a lot of road riding. And the Classic 350, whilst it's comfortable up to say 100, it's not really at 110 and 130 in the Northern Territory. So, and I was going to do some off-road riding. I wasn't planning on doing the Tanami or Gibb River Road or the Simpson or anything like that, although I poked my nose in and had a look at all those places. So I wanted something to do a bit of off-road work. The Himalayan's really full-blown, and I thought the Scram's a good mixture. It's got more 50-50 tyres. And it was proven right. It was a bloody brilliant bike. Yeah, did the trip no problems at all. Started on the south coast of New South Wales and then headed up the east coast. Using the main highways as a guide, but sort of taking the back roads adjacent to them where I could, and going off road where I could, and did a bit of poke around. First real off road was north of Port Douglas, where I took the track up towards Cooktown, Wudjil, which was hit by a big cyclone not that long after I went through there. So that was a little bit of a quick learning experience for me, some deep river crossings and stuff like that, which the bike handled totally fine, even with those 50-50, stock 50-50 tyres on it. Then I headed across through Georgetown, Currumbin over to the Gulf of Carpentaria. Again, mainly on the paved, but bit of bull dust, bit of sand, bit of whatever, and then down to Cloncurry, across to Mount Isa, up to Darwin, around the west coast, and then across the Nullarbor, Eyre Peninsula, and home again. So it was a 4-month trip, 20,000 k's give or take, and it was fantastic. I absolutely highly recommend it to anyone. Yeah, and it was easy to do as a solo rider. You always hook up with other riders out there. Came across a few Himalayans out there on the Nullarbor actually, but I was the only Scram I saw. In fact, I'd heard I was the only first Scram that had done the lap. So my highlight was probably northwestern Australia and the Eyre Peninsula, I think. But honestly, there is not one bit of this country that is not fantastic. If you have the right perspective when you arrive. But yeah, we live in a good spot. I've been part of a surf therapy group down on the south coast of New South Wales, which has done a hell of a lot for me personally, but for the big cohort of ex-defence and first responder community that exists down here. And yeah, we had government funding, which sadly had been revoked about 12 months ago, I think, or 18 months ago. And I thought, well, this group has done a great deal for me, and I thought if I can raise some money to keep things going. Sadly, that hasn't happened. Whilst I did raise some money, it wasn't enough, and we've had to sort of go into hibernation. But saying that, as I say, there's a big cohort of ex-Australian Defence Force veterans and frontline emergency services guys, so cops, ambos, fireys, that suffer from a whole range of mental health problems as a result of their service. And I'm one of those. I'm ex-Navy submarines. And yeah, a lot of people suffer PTSD and various other mental health problems. And we discovered that surf therapy is an incredible mechanism to get people back on track. It certainly did for me. It probably saved my life. It certainly changed my life. And yeah, so I wanted to raise money for them. Mate, I wore the Project Surf shirt on the trip the whole way around, and I mentioned it on my Facebook page almost every day. And I ran into surfers and cops and ambos all around the country who were interested and who either were going through similar issues themselves or had mates that were. And it was amazing how many people were interested and said, can we get something like this going up here? So one step at a time. That was one thing about this bike, or perhaps being a Royal Enfield, I don't know, but everywhere I stopped, every day, someone would come and say, mate, what's that? I'd explain, they go, oh, Royal Enfield, my grandpa had one, or my uncle had one, or something. Everyone's got a connection to a Royal Enfield. It might be a generation ago. And but it was a super bike. It was comfortable, it was easy, it was economical. As I say, I'd never had to fix it apart from scheduled maintenance, and it was easy to ride. You know, as you've heard, I'm not an experienced rider, although I suppose after doing a lap I'm semi-experienced, but it's easy to ride. You know, you just point it there, it takes you there. Well, look, I'd love to do the same thing again, and in fact I'd seriously like to get some Royal Enfield riders together and get out there in the bush, you know, maybe some week-long runs here and there, head out into the western New South Wales or southwestern Queensland or northwestern Victoria or back over the Eyre Peninsula. There's some great country, and it's not that far away. It might take you a day to get there, but then you can have 3 or 4 days good bush riding. I'd really like to talk to someone about that and see if we can get some things going.
You can check out Andy's ride on Facebook at Andy's Adventure Around Australia. And if you ride a Royal Enfield and would be interested in doing a bit of a country ride for a few days, then send us a message and we'll put you in touch. Now check out this playlist of riders who have taken their bike on an adventure.